I'm Mary Hadley. I use she, them pronouns. And I've been attending CVUUS since my family moved from Virginia to Middlebury in 2009, and I became a member a few years after that. I'm speaking today based on my role as the current leader of the social justice ministry. And my intention is to share a little bit of our journey, our history, remind some folks of more recent work, and invite each of you to join us as we expand our collective congregational social justice, building on the things that Jason and Pam already spoke about and what many of the yellow cards represented. When I first arrived here, I needed and wanted many things from CVUUS. And fortunately, I was able to get what I needed, from strangers who pointed me in the right direction, to friends I've met, Sunday services and lay-led community groups that fed and enlightened me, the RE offering, and all of you on the community who have cared for my now 25-year-old son, Peter. Over time, I've become more directly involved and served in and led in various ways all around CVUUS. And my hope is that each of you has or finds a way into these types of collective congregational connections. CVUS recently celebrated 40 years as a congregation, and I can say from talking to folks and seeing many historical documents that social justice work has been in the minds and with the hands of the founders and congregants for a long time. Without naming the long list, we would be here all day. I'll just say that what I call death with dignity and marriage equity and equality and UU the vote are some of the bigger initiatives that CVUUS was heavily involved in. Particularly since the pandemic and over the last several years, CVUUS has worked to educate ourselves, rededicate ourselves to collective social justice work, and be more intentional about being increasingly visible in the wider community. Think bright yellow shirts. A few years ago, as mentioned in the yellow card, we hosted book groups and read and discussed books about various marginalized groups, including about racism, being anti-racist, and the unhoused community. And then I think around 2022, the affordable housing group started just with CVUUS folks, and then again, as indicated in the yellow card, reached out to other faith communities, and so the Addison County Interfaith Affordable Housing Alliance has hosted the sessions that we heard about and done things for things like accessory dwelling units, Home Share Vermont, and tiny homes. Then in March 2023, as part of the 8th Principle initiatives, the congregation adopted our CVUUS covenant to dismantle racism and other oppressions. The covenant states, "We commit to journey toward spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community through our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions." In March 2024, led by the Council of Ministries, which I was one of the co-conveners at that time, we had Paula Cole-Jones visit us via Zoom in the sanctuary to do her Building a Culture of Inclusion workshop with about 50 people from the congregation attending. And then a good deal of activity occurred in the 24-25 church year, starting with, as Jason mentioned, Tom Morgan's shift from being just a congregant to his intern and community minister year. And while he was doing that, he led several worship services. He was leading the Mosaic Task Force, which had a couple different names through the course of the year. We worked on accelerating multiculturalism with Brock Leach, who was mentioned in the yellow cards as well today, so we had some personal interactions with him, and groups such as Queerly Beloved and some other caring neighbor partnerships began. So now, in our current church year, Tom has finished his year as the intern and community minister, and as Jason mentioned, leads the Green Mountain Justice Organization. So as part of establishing the new social justice ministry in November of 2024, so a little bit over a year ago, the CVUUS Board of Trustees adopted this statement. CVUUS affirms that collective social justice action is integral to the tradition of our Unitarian Universalist faith and necessary for demonstrating our values in our community. As part of CVUUS, our social justice ministry will serve by centering the needs of the oppressed and marginalized, orchestrating social justice planning and actions, and creating opportunities for CVUUS to put our faith into action in and beyond the walls of our congregation. The Social Justice Ministry repeats this at the start of each of our meetings to remind us of this important call. Also during 24-25, a group of us participated with Paula Cole-Jones again and congregations from around the country in something called Shaping the Leading Edge and Community of Communities work. And then we worked with several of the committees and teams here at CVUUS last spring to think about how to be more thoughtful and inclusive, hopefully bringing more voices and folks in than we maybe have in the past. Whether from your own experience, listening to the Pathways to Connections, or reading the weekly blast, or if you look at our website, the list of organizations we partner with is long and involved with various social action activities. The Social Justice Ministry, in conjunction with Reverend Christina, held congregation-wide worship workshops in March and May last year to help encourage education about and additional participation in collective social justice at CVUUS. The vision is, and what's a bit different than in the past, is to grow from a charity do-for-you model to a more justice solidarity action together, where more folks are engaged in the work than ever before. The structure is that there's a team identified as the Social Justice Ministry. We meet every month to conduct the business of growing social justice. But the real work is accomplished by what we've termed as the various seed groups, and hopefully the table toppers in the fellowship hall have given an opportunity to explain that a little bit. Our hope is that justice work is seen as part of the whole congregation, an integral part of what this congregation does, that everyone here will feel compelled based on what is happening in our world, what is breaking our hearts, where we are called to be in community with folks, to consider participation in one or more of these seed groups in collective action together. So just to regroup what those currently active seed groups are, and a little bit of what they do. So first is housing security, which we've mentioned a couple of times. That's looking at ways to provide housing. Food security, which includes the Charles Avenue Community Cupboard, Charter House Meals, Hope, Crop Walk, lots of different things like that. The LGBTQIA organization, which hosted the Building Beloved Community Beyond the Binary sessions last April, has queer support groups, works with the Pride Parade and other things like that. The Migrant Justice Group, which is working on information around ICE, as was mentioned in one of the yellow cards, the Mexican consulate visit, English language lessons, and other types of migrant support. And most recently, as a result of the concern for the guests who had been camping on our campus, the Unhoused Support Group, which is working on direct support, participating with Green Mountain Justice, and partnering with others such as Gather and Charter House. And finally, there's the donations team, which has existed for quite a while, but is now part of the Social Justice Ministry as well, who works on determining monthly donees. So if you'd like more information about any of these groups, or you're ready to get engaged, come see me during coffee hour or reach out at any time and I'll happily connect you. What would I like you to take away from my time here today? That we have a great past in the realm of social justice, that lately we've done an amount of education and foundation laying to prepare us to move with more intention, and now is the time to mobilize and engage even more as a collective congregation in the heart-filled work of living social justice into being. May it be so.